Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Alex. Thank you for watching. I am a Twin Cities composer, performer, producer, all that good stuff. And today we're going to be going over what I do in the performance realm. Today I am playing with The Covers. This is an incredible band. They do a lot of parties and weddings. And I have the good fortune of being able to fill in with them from time to time. So, amazing musicians. Knowing you're not the best musician in the room by quite a bit is quite humbling, and they're incredible people on top of that. So extra incentive to make sure your tones are dialed in, and knowing the person you're subbing in for really has his tone game on point, really pushes you to have this. So we're going to go through the stock preset that I have built for this band. I build one for every band that I'm in. On this gig, I play the entire show, as usual, on my Music Man Steve Morse, Blue, as I've affectionately named him. I bring other guitars as backups from time to time, but I know they're collecting dust. This is the one. So, this preset is attenuated to Blue and all of those settings. The input block, as I've mentioned in previous videos, stock except for the threshold of the gate being at negative 47.5 dB. I find that that is where the noise begins to creep in and the note is decaying when you're sustaining something. So that's where I have it clamped. It doesn't choke. It's very transparent, intelligent gate type. Next, we have our wah. Now, I have this set on an EV2. I grew up playing the Dunlop Mini once it came out. Save space on your pedal board, so nice visual stimuli, familiar. For the clean sound, I have the Funk Wah. And I have the minimum frequency set to my birthday, in case any of you are buying gifts and thinking about stuff. And my max frequency set to a Rush reference. It just keeps things nice and... This is the bridge pickup. Not too spiky and high when you get into that high range, and not too woofy when you're down on the lows. It is only used on the clean because for each amp type that I use for this, I have it set to a different wah. So this one, Vox. As you can see, the level is changed as well as the minimum and max frequency. But the level is different because we want to push the amp in different ways for different levels of breakup. And when in Rome, pair the Voxes together. For the Marshall, I use a Clyde wah. Lovely. And for the Mesa Boogie, I use the John Petrucci Crybaby. As you can see, the minimum frequency 240, 1500 for the max frequency, and this giant graphic EQ notch, which is not apparent on any other. So that's my wah. It auto engages, which is incredible at medium position. Then we move on to the compressor. So for the compressor, I only use this on the clean sound. I just like to even out the transients between playing those funky rhythms and so the level stays nice and clean. It really helps out in a set like this. So I have this set pretty much stock. Nothing changed in the side chain, and the instrument level is 6.5 dB of makeup gain, no auto makeup. I like having control over what I'm doing. It's a nice thing. We're gonna skip over amps and cabs for a sec. We're moving to the chorus block. So with this, I like, like with the wah block, I like having options. So I have 4 channels. I haven't totally dialed these in yet. For the entire summer, last year, I was playing on an FM3, and so with time constraints, I only got to make sure everything was leveled and tonally there. I didn't get to do a deep dive on the chorus just yet, but that is next week's task, and I may make a video on that. Fortunately for us, the wonderful Leon Todd made a video on deep diving the chorus, and I can use that along with all of the information I've gathered over the years to do so. Anyways, here we go. Clean setting, it's totally dry. The Dimension 2, I like this one a lot for this gig, but you need options. So I have a Dimension 2, a digital stereo, the Boss CE2, my personal favorite growing up playing Boss pedals almost exclusively, and an 80s style. I go between 80s style and analog stereo. As you can see from the level, there's a little bit of a dot there. So we have a scene controller. As I change through different scenes, we'll go to the bridge pickup. You can see that as I get heavier in the distortion, I make sure that that level comes down. And while it does sacrifice a little of that chorus tone, when you run things in parallel like this, as I prefer, when I have the option, you lose a little of chorus tone, but you're not spiking the levels like crazy, running two distorted signals in parallel. So it's a drawback of that style. But there you have it. I have that set to a control switch to turn on and scene ignore. So as I change scenes for this band, the chorus will stay on and it will stay on the channel that I have it set to. Sometimes for different bands, I'll have it be set in a way where it's just bypassing the effect on and off. And so for certain songs, the clean is always chorused. But not every song is like that. So you want to be able to switch back and forth between scenes where that chorus will always be on there, but not on your distorted signal. For this band, we don't really have that so much. There's the chorus block, the delay block. I have this always on. It is controlled by an EV1, the input gain, sort of a dry, wet, dry thing, the Steve Morse style. And I have 4 channels again. So we have just a and a quarter note delay. I do have a tap tempo on the FC12 and the incredible musicians in here and the drummers in particular, Zach Miller, Nate Babbs when he's subbing in, anybody, they have human metronomes. So when I dial in the tap tempo, it's there. Really nice to have that capability. When I have this set, I have the options of quarter note, eighth note, and dotted eighth note at my disposal. It does come in handy, very handy, depending on what audibles are called or what songs I may need to play with this preset. The last one that I have set is an ambient stereo patch, and anytime I do the whale cry thing, it's really nice to have. And that is just set to 500 milliseconds, not affected at all by the tap tempo. And last but not least, the filter block. This is what I use for a boost. I have it set so that it's always off whenever I'm on any channel, And then, depending on what amp I'm in, I can just switch it on. That includes the JP lead, which I have set to unity gain, like every preset in here, every scene rather, because there are times where you need to do those textural wail cries. Do not get in front of the vocalist. There's a rule from the Working Musicians vlog. Do not do that. It may not be rule number 1, but it's up there. Do not piss off the sound guy. Make him your friend, not your enemy. There's another one. So, having the capability to just boost a little bit above the band and come right back down, keep everything at unity gain. It'll keep your fader right where you need it, and he's not going to touch it. Because if you have 10 dB of gain, you come out front and they're like, whoa, and they pull you down, they're not turning you back up. They can't deal with that, so now nobody hears you. Just a nice subtle boost that I can control from any amp. Maybe you need to bring out a part. That's how you do it. My reverb is just set to a medium plate, pretty stock on this. -15 level, not too high. Ultra high. Not set too hot. Steve Norwick is a mixing genius. And master. So, stay out of his way. He's got it covered. You're playing in a live room. It's just for a little bit of air. And it's just on all the time. Very simple. Make Steve your friend, not your enemy. The output blocks, all the scene levels are set flat. All the levels are set flat. I try to do that with everything the best I can, used only in the case of emergencies. So now we're going to go back to amps, the fun stuff. So, for the clean sound for this band, I use the Fender Bassman, 59 Bassman Bright, settings very humble, not a lot of moving, a little bit around noon. Master volume comes down from 10 to 5, so we're not driving real hot. Going into a Bass Guy 57 and a 121 down 5 dB. No roll off of any kind on this thing. Kind of nice. And I use this primarily for the funky stuff, because there's quite a bit of that. You're playing in a dance and wedding band. You gotta make people dance. Get that funk going. That's a pretty simple one. As a little counterpart for that, I have the AC30. It's actually an AC20. When I first got the Axe-FX, I didn't know that it was under Class A30. I didn't know where the Fractal Wiki was. Check that out. So I set everything to the AC20. Like I said, time constraints. I just didn't get a chance to switch this over from last year. So here we are. I have this running into AC20 cab with different mics, 57 as my bass tone, 121 and 421 down, 7.5 dB, just to add a little bit more depth. And that is an alternate clean sound. Just a little edge of breakup. As you can see on this, and on all of the amps, the input boost can be engaged with a control switch. What's nice about that is you have all of these different amp characteristics, but you can go high gain or medium low gain for any amp that you're using. It's wonderful, and it stays on as you switch scenes, except when you switch to the clean, because to that and have a 7 dB spike in your face. Make the sound man your friend, not your enemy. Repeat after me. So we have that. Next up is the primary rhythm tone that I use, the Marshall JCM 800. Just a great rhythm tone, and since that is my primary tone, usually without the input boost, I like to have that and my clean set to gapless. What that means is that both the amps and the cabs are set. This is running into a Brit TV cab from ML Labs, 57, and then a 421 down 2.5 dB, a 121 down 10 dB, just a little bit of that bark. But having the cabs set, so when you go back and forth, they're not changing, and the amps are set to the same. So you can have true gapless switching. It's not super necessary, but that's the difference in switching an amp and a cab. Not a lot in the Fractal ecosystem, but you have the capability, why not do it? As opposed to the Marshall, we have the JP2C on the yellow channel, the Marshall, and as you can see, not a lot of gain on this because we do have the option. And for both this and the JP lead patch that's coming up, I have the 4x12 Recto SM7 and the 121, both even. Just a nice flat rhythm tone. And because David and I are such huge fans of Metallica, we will sound check to this, so having that at your beck and call is really nice. For that sort of setting, which we will get into next week, I normally use a 2C++, the amp of choice for James Hetfield, Papa Het. But last but not least, we have the JP lead. Now this is set to the JP2C+ red channel. Again, we can turn on the input boost as we need, and this is where the delays throws come in handy when you're playing quick stuff. And you want to tail on those sustains, you can throw those up there, and your whittling will not be absolutely hitting you in the face repeatedly while you're trying to make musical conversations with the wonderful musicians around you. So, I have that option. We have that option with the input boost. So, that's almost everything in here, but the secret sauce is the last block I didn't speak about. The auto wah. So, every now and then I want to spice up a rhythm part, a funk part, or even a lead. Without delay. That will shut off anytime I change channels, but having that option there is huge. It's just a nice thing to have. And I have that set, as you can see, to the envelope follower. When you go to controls, going to the envelope, I have this set to the output and my personal attack. If you want to copy the settings, screenshot, it's one way to do it, and dial in from there. Input source is input 1, not block in. I like it when it's just reading straight from the guitar input and nothing before it. That's how I personally dig it. As I mentioned before, the scene controller, controlling all of the things within the chorus block for levels and stuff. We have CS per scene. This is for the input boost, as you can see, always off. Always off on the clean setting. And then CS2, which is the auto wah, every time I switch channels, it is always set to off. I believe this one is control switch 1, so that will stay on as I switch channels. But it's good to know that you can do that, and it's a wonderful thing to have a rig that can do so many things from a single preset and get you through an entire night when you need to. Thank you for watching. I need to get ready for this gig, but I will play you out.